Gambit. It is championship week for 95% of the leagues out there. So hopefully going to be giving you lots of great insight here, giving you our opinions to make your best decisions for this upcoming week and take home championship belts. So as always, I am joined here at the bottom, VandyGrad92 on Twitter. Brian, how are you doing today, sir?
Devin, I'm doing good. Just excited for another Thursday night, and wish I was in more championships, but still doing okay.
Yeah, we'd always be in more, right? I think I only ended up making. I was the fourth seed in three leagues, and I made one final. But we talked about that a little bit last week. I don't want you to be bringing up still open wounds, so I will kick it back over to the right to Fantasy J77 on Twitter. Jason, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing good, sir. Doing good. I hope you guys are doing good. I hope you all had a great Christmas. I don't want to open old wounds either, ripping the bandit off here, but it was a great Christmas, and then come Monday, it was like out of five, five or six that I was still in, I'm now only in two. Going into the championship week in both of them. One of them I was a 2 seed. The other one walked in as a 5 seed. So I'm pretty happy with that team. But I'm, somebody I think it was Trash Sandwiches on Twitter earlier said she was in 2 or 3, and one of them she went in as a 6 seed, and she was going to be mad if she didn't win at least one of those championships. Well, I posted back to her tweet. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be honest. I'm only in 2, and I'm going to be mad if I don't win both of them. I'm going to be mad if I don't win both of them. Just being straight up. Maybe I'm selfish.
I don't know. As I said, it's what it's about. It's winning the chips. I don't want to just make the finals. I want to win them.
That's
so.
Right.
So let's go ahead. We got a interesting matchup this week with the Dallas Cowboys and the Tennessee Titans. Got some weird situations going here. Kind of, it seems like they're resting Derrick Henry just because this week really doesn't matter for them. It really comes down to the championship for the division next week against Jacksonville. So I think they're just kind of resting up. But also Tony Pollard's out. But yeah, it should still be a good game. It's probably not going to be that close of a game. I mean, they're starting Joshua Dobbs, not even going with their rookie third-round pick, Malik Willis. So kind of an interesting, tidbits here, especially for your fantasy championships. I don't know if you're looking for too many people on the Tennessee side for your championship this week, but Dallas will still have a pretty good game. So, Brian, what do you think about tonight's matchup with Dallas Cowboys and Tennessee Titans?
Well, like you said, a little bit of the luster has worn off with Henry being out of the game, but it still could be interesting. At least Dobbs has experience. I don't personally agree with the call, but I'm not the coach either. If you're not playing for an opportunity to win necessarily by sitting Henry, why don't you give the rookie more playing time? Just my 2 cents.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to be, they just signed him off the practice squad, and he's been on the team for 8 days total so far, and now he's starting. So it's pretty crazy to just throw him into that. I mean, I know he's a veteran, but still pretty bad circumstance, especially going against Dallas, which is one of the best defenses in the league. So, Jay, what about you? Any thoughts for tonight?
Yeah, I was kind of shocked when I saw that news come out that they were going to bench Willis for Dobbs. And so I had to go back and look. I mean, in his career, 5 years of his career, he's thrown a total of 17 passes in the NFL, completed 10 of them, 45 yards, 1 touchdown. He has rushed 6 times for 61 yards over that 5-year span, but it really was only in 2 games. And he's only played in 2 games in 5 years. So that was quite surprising. But at the same time, it was quite telling to me of what Tennessee and Vrabel think of Willis as a quarterback. So that was shocking. I'm not quite shocked. I'm not as shocked to see that they're going to go ahead and rest Henry, just because like you said a minute ago, their whole season comes down to next week. They got to win next week, and they're in. Doesn't matter what happens tonight for them. The only thing that matters tonight for Dallas is, if they win tonight and next week, and Philly loses both. I mean, otherwise they're locked in at the 5 seed. So, we shall see. But yeah, the big thing for me was starting Dobbs over Willis.
Yeah, just seems like a pretty crazy decision to me. But like you said, I mean, I agree with Brian there too, where think you just want to keep letting Willis go out there and improve, just get some experience. I mean, maybe he's not part of their long-term plans, but yeah, so let's see. We got our first question actually of the night, and it's from our buddy Gerson. So thanks for watching. Thanks for the question, buddy. Deebo Samuel or Mike Evans this week in the championship week. So basically, I will say, I know Deebo's still been limited in practice this week. Does have a pretty juicy matchup against Las Vegas, but still one of those situations where do you want to risk him going against, maybe being a decoy, not being 100%. They've been pretty good without him, so they might be truly limiting him. We don't know yet, So I would say, as of right now, I would lean towards Mike Evans just because they're also going against Carolina. So, he's still getting the targets. I know Mike Evans hasn't been having the best couple weeks here. But for me personally, championship week, I don't know if I would risk starting Deebo over Evans. So, Jay, I'll kick that one over to you and see what your opinion is.
Yeah, I mean, I just went back and looked, and he went out on the 10th, or when he got listed was the 10th. So he's been out for basically it'll be a month that Deebo's been out. If Deebo plays, I'm playing Deebo. That's just plain and simple. I mean, Mike Evans is due, but he's been due for 6 weeks.
Right.
Like you said, they're playing Carolina. Tampa has everything to play for. So does Carolina, by the way. But Tampa has everything to play for because if Tampa wins this week, I do believe that wraps up the division, and Tampa will then be able to figure out what the hell they're going to do in the playoffs. As a Bucs fan, it sucks this year. Seeing the struggles that Mike Evans is going through, and I've told people, man, Mike Evans has got to come. Mike Evans has finally he's got to do something. But 3 touchdowns over the year, that's unacceptable as a fan. But more importantly, I know it's unacceptable for Mike Evans and for Tom Brady. So. If the long answer is Deebo if he plays, so that's where I'm going.
All right, and Brian, what do you think?
Boy, I'm glad I get to be the tiebreaker here, but gosh, that's a coin toss for me. For whatever reason, and really I have no reasoning at all, I'll go Mike Evans.
Yeah, on my side. No, I mean, it's a very tough matchup there. I mean, I think if it was, if I knew Deebo was 100% healthy, which maybe we'll find out the next day or so, then I think I would agree that I'd be starting Deebo over him. But just as it stands right now, being a limited participant in practice, knowing they've been electric without him, he's probably at the very least, he might be out there running routes, but I doubt he's going to be in the running back role. As he was as the hybrid wide back or whatever, doing any of that stuff. So as of right now, I'm leaning towards Evans. But I would say if Deebo is fully cleared, fully healthy to go later this week, then I'm probably going to switch over to Deebo personally.
Well, same here. But isn't the 49ers playoff spot pretty much clinched in regards to what they're doing for the playoffs?
Well, they're the 2 seed right now, if I'm not mistaken. If both Dallas and Philly start screwing up, I think they can get the 1 seed. I think it's going to be hard for them. They have to win out, and Philly has to lose out. Dallas has to lose out, that kind of thing. But I think there's a possibility that they can improve it. But the 2 seed is. I mean, the only benefit to getting the 1 seed right now would be the 1 team gets the bye. That's it.
Exactly, yeah, and that's a lot of benefit. But I don't know. For sure, Tampa Bay is playing for something. So
yeah, they're actually.
Tampa Bay's playing to win the division so that they can host Dallas again.
Right. Yeah, the 49ers are actually the 3 seed currently. So the Eagles are in first, 13-2. The Vikings are in second, 12-3, and then the 49ers at 11-4.
Okay.
But so I mean, there is still a chance, like you said, for them. I mean, the Eagles have to lose out, and then they also need help with the Vikings dropping one of these games. I'm not sure what exactly the tiebreakers are, but technically, I think it is still alive for them to be the number 1 overall seed. So, all right. Thanks, Gerson. Appreciate the questions as always. Keep them coming the entire episode, and we will make sure to get them answered for you. So thanks again. And yeah, what a pretty crazy week. We had a lot of different news stories this week. Hackett finally has been fired from Denver. I know a lot of teams don't like firing coaches mid-season, but I mean, after getting blown out by the Rams, who literally have nobody going for them basically at the moment, finally looked to be the straw that broke the camel's back there, if you will. But, a couple other things before we get into that. J.J. Watt announced he is retiring after the season. Tua, third concussion this year, just looks super bad for him. So with those three topics right there, I'm going to pass it around. So, Jay, kick it over to you. Any one of them you want to talk about? Hackett, J.J. Watt, Tua, all three of them, up to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just touch on the first two real quick. I can't believe it took so long for Daniel Hackett, but that's whatever. If he's finally gone, maybe Denver can do something now. I mean, I don't know. I said it preseason. I didn't think that offense was going to gel. I didn't think it was going to be this bad, but I just didn't think it was going to gel as what everybody thought it was going to be. J.J. Watt, though, probably one of the best, at least in my opinion, one of the best defensive linemen. He got booed by his city when he got drafted.
Yep.
And then turned around and just was embraced by the city by what he did on and off the field. So props to him on a great career. Tua, man, I just don't even know. I don't know if the offensive line is just or why he keeps getting these concussions. I know one of the things that Doc had said either this week or on a previous episode on their Monday night show. One of the things on there was, once you have a concussion, you are more susceptible to having another one, especially in a shorter period of time. The hit that they allegedly, think that it was on wasn't that bad, I didn't think. Whereas the back of his head hit the ground, but you see that on every single play. I'm gonna hold off on saying he should retire. Maybe he should sit the rest of the year. I don't know, but I heard a thing today by a buddy of mine, and there's a lot of people, Twitter doctors and that sort of thing.
Right.
That, all they have is they sit on their couch and eat Cheetos or whatever, however he said it, and then they want to be, tell somebody that they need to sit down and retire. Well, at the same time, that's what these guys do. That they know this going in. That's why they get paid the big bucks. Man, if he takes the rest of the year off, I have to talk to Doc about it a little bit more in depth, but I wonder if he takes the rest of the year off and just recovers. Does that change the possibility of getting another one, or stretch it out? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
From what I've seen a lot of worry that, a lot of it, they really don't know how long it actually takes, to truly get healthy, if you even are 100% ever again compared to what you ever were at one point. So, I mean, I think I agree with you there that at least this season, I know, they have championship aspirations and they look way better with him, but, Teddy Bridgewater is a capable quarterback. I mean, are they going to make a Super Bowl with Teddy? Probably not. But, you're talking about the guy's long-term health here, with all the stuff they put in for CTE, all the precautions with all the concussions, everything like that, taking them more seriously. It's already a pretty bad look, I would say, for the NFL for missing the first one that led to his second one the following week where his fingers actually were splayed and all laid out.
That was a Thursday night game, by the way.
Yeah. So, I mean, they already had a bad look with missing that and then technically missing this one. I know he was, diagnosed after the game, but, it kind of coincides with when they think that play happened, his play really fell off after that point, with the multiple interceptions, stuff like that. So, haven't been a good look for their concussion team, their, separate entity that actually identifies these and does all that. I know they fired the first person for missing the second one, but not a good look when the second person now seems to have possibly missed another one. So,
yeah, they need to get some better cameras, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm sure there's going to be a lot of reviews of their whole concussion protocol in this offseason. A lot of changes are probably coming. I know they've made some changes this season already to where now if you're even showing any kind of symptom, you're not allowed to come back in, stuff like that. But yeah, it's a really bad situation for him. He looks great when he's out there and he's healthy, but it's looking like it could be a long-term thing. And, you just don't want to see anyone have any of these bad problems associated with CTE and stuff like that we've seen other players go through. So, Brian, I'll kick it down to you and give your thoughts on any of those topics there if you want as well.
Well, I want to give the shout out, like you said, to J.J. Watt. I forget, who did they play last week? And it went into overtime.
Tampa.
They basically almost won the game for Arizona. Definitely kept them in the game. So he's going out on top. And I saw a picture with a little boy, he's obviously a family man. So he's 33 years old, had a heck of a career, but at the same time, he understands family comes first. So it's
Yeah,
hard to knock him.
that was his son, 2 months old. That was his first game that his son came to, and it would be the last home game for JJ.
So, I have a lot of respect for him on that. And yeah, I'm kind of curious. I mean, Tua sitting out the rest of the year makes sense, but kind of curious. We were talking about they won't make a Super Bowl run at this point in time. My question is, will they even make the playoffs? Because they're not even a shoe in for that. And what little faith I've got in my Steelers, I haven't given up yet. Our team always seems to hang in there and possibly get that winning record for every season that Tomlin's been there. So that'll be interesting to see.
So are we all kind of in agreement here that JJ is a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Oh,
yeah.
If he's not, then nobody is.
Right. Yeah, that's incredible career. It kind of sucks. I think it was hurt a little bit by injuries, but still just a completely dominant player. I know he had multiple 20-sack seasons, a couple 17, 16, I think, as well. But, still been a force, been a little derailed. But, yeah, absolute first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion.
And for all accounts, he's a really good person. So he'd be in that Hall of Fame as well, from what I understand. So.
Oh, yeah. Got the nickname Captain America because he's just so nice, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I want to say he's got two. Is it two Man of the Year, Walter Payton Man of the Years? I believe so. I know we got one.
Yeah, he's just been a great guy overall. Helped out when they had that hurricane hit Houston down there a few years back. So just a great guy on and off the field. So sad to see him go, but well deserved. So I'm sure he'll be a first ballot. He should be, like you said. If he's not, then nobody is. So we got our old host here, Kyle Sender, stopping in saying hi. So hey, Kyle. Nice to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate all the help here. So let's keep it rolling. So Mike White is back this week, and Zach Wilson is back to the bench, not even dressing. So that kid, man, I don't know. I really feel like I think we're going to get into this a little bit more. Also, with like the Raiders are sitting Derek Carr for Stidham. I think the Jets are going to be in prime position here to get a quarterback. I think they're going to be active. I don't know if Mike White is their long-term answer, but I think if they can upgrade to someone like potentially a Carr, maybe even a Tom Brady if he doesn't retire. I know you probably don't want to hear that, Jay, but seems like there's going to be at least some exploration there for the Jets. So Colt McCoy also starting again there for the Jets. So when we're talking about quarterbacks here, Brian, I'll kick it down to you. What do you think about this week's quarterback starts?
If I had to choose between Mike White, Stidham, and Colt McCoy, I'm going Mike White all day. But it's really unfortunate that Zach Wilson's career, at least with the Jets, seems to already be over after year two.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets released actually this offseason or traded.
And I hate to say it, the Jets have a way of screwing up pretty much any quarterback. So if I was a player in college, I just hope I'm not drafted by the Jets. So.
Well, that's one thing, too, is now with their draft picks, they're going to be later on in the draft with their current standings. They're not going to be up there where they would have to either make a trade, something like that along the lines. It's incredible how, them winning a couple meaningless games 2 years ago, got them into the second pick anyway to where they would have had Trevor Lawrence and, put Trevor Lawrence on that team right now, and they're probably legit Super Bowl contenders the way he's playing. So it's pretty crazy that the Jets are just going to always find a way to jet and ruin that type of situation there. So even if they had Fields, they're probably looking a lot better than what they do with Zach Wilson. I mean, I didn't think Zach Wilson would be this bad, but I also am a terrible evaluator of quarterbacks. It's like the one position I never, ever get right. But yeah, Jay, I'll kick it over to you and share your thoughts on the situation there.
Yeah, I mean, you just showed your Bears fandom right there because I think you were just following. You just follow what the Bears do at quarterback as well. I mean, until they went to Justin Fields, I mean, Mitch Trubisky, whoever else you wanted.
It must just be an Illinois thing to where we just can't evaluate quarterbacks. We're just born into it,
No, honestly, the quarterback position is the hardest to evaluate. You can see talent. You can see it. It's right there in front of you, and then but the quarterback position is 99% is in between the ears. And I think that's what Mike White has going for him. He's a smart dude, just doesn't care. He's playing for a job, you know. He could be the Jets quarterback next year, and the Jets probably would be okay with that. To be quite honest, you brought up Tom Brady a second ago, and I've already come to the resolution that he's leaving, but I think he's actually going to leave and go to Vegas.
I can see that. Yeah.
It's not California, but it's as close to California as he can get probably at this point.
And you got Devontae there. I mean, a lot of pieces.
Yeah, but I think Devontae's leaving anyway. I don't know if you saw that post that I
did.
copied. So he's not a happy dude right now. The reason he came to Vegas was because of Derek Carr, and now Derek Carr is not even around the team, and for whatever reason, whether there was a conversation with Carr and ownership that he was just going to walk away from the team, and that way he's not a distraction or whatever, it's still going to be a distraction because Devontae Adams came there for Derek Carr, and now he's not even in the building. So that could be an issue where I could see the Raiders having to either trade and probably get nickels on the dollar, not pennies, but nickels on the dollar of what they bought there. I mean, unless Tom Brady goes there or an Aaron Rodgers goes there, and Devontae Adams gets that Hall of Famer that he's comfortable with, kind of a thing. But Mike White, man, I've been impressed with this kid. I didn't like him to start. I look back at a year ago when he had a couple starts. He played very good in the first game, and then it was shit in the second game. Kind of did the same thing this year. But the difference is he's got Garrett Wilson, he's got an Elijah Moore, he's got Bam Knight and Carter, and he's got weapons and Conklin around him. So he's set up for success. At least it appears that he's set up for success, and then he's smart enough to go out there and do it himself. So, out of those three, Colt McCoy is going to be back this week. So I would take White because I think he has the better weapons. Colt McCoy's got D-Hop and then McBride, but that's about it. And Connor.
Great. It's pretty crazy how things come full circle. Almost 14 years later, from Josh McDaniels being with the Broncos and running their quarterback Jay Cutler out of town. So now it seems like he's doing the exact same thing with his next coaching opportunity and running Carr out of town, which, I don't think Carr is the problem. It kind of seems like he's the scapegoat. I mean, I know he hasn't played great at times, but it's who he is. I think we all kind of know and understand who Derek Carr is at this point in their career. But yeah, just kind of interesting that, it happened before and now it looks to be happening again. So,
yeah. I read on Roto World or NBC Sports Edge something about a contractual agreement for 2023, and that's why they're going ahead and setting him so he won't get hurt for the last two games. So
I did. Go ahead.
If he got hurt in the next 2 weeks or this season, it would 100% guarantee next year's, and then another $8 million of the 24 deal, so it would be about $40 million guaranteed.
It did kind of seem like they also had this almost as a precaution in his contract anyway, because if you look at his dead cap spending, it's way lower than the other 2 seasons remaining. So kind of seemed like the Raiders did build in this potential out, and just looks like they're going to go ahead and take advantage of it. Which, I mean, he's been a serviceable quarterback. They've had him for a long time, so I don't necessarily disagree with them wanting to move on, but I also don't think doing it right now, made the most sense, especially when you lured Devontae Adams there, and he was the main reason for that. So, all right, a couple more newsworthy notes here. Just a question for everybody here. I'm going to sit this one out at first just because I kind of have very strong opinions about it. But are the Packers contenders or pretenders to make the playoffs? So, Brian, why don't you kick this one off?
They're contenders. And the only reason why is not that they're that great. They're playing pretty okay for their standards this year. But the other teams that are in the race pretty much stink. So, all Washington, as I understand it, all Washington has to do is lose one game. Green Bay win 2, and they're in the playoffs. So, I think they're contenders. I don't know that they'll be contenders when they actually make the playoffs themselves, because they haven't been in years past. But I'm kind of enjoying them being an underdog and enjoy watching the games.
All right, Jay, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know if they're contenders or pretenders. I want to say contenders because I it's Aaron Rodgers. and he's got youth around him. But, when is the last time you can look back at like a week 16, a week 17 and go, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are both under 500
Right.
in the year? It's probably been a while if it's ever happened. So I'm rooting for both of the old, I'm an old guy, so I'm rooting for the old guys. Let's go. They're contenders. They're contenders, and it's going to be Green Bay and Tampa Bay NFC title game.
Oh, wow.
No, that's not happening. Don't do that.
So I will say I think they are contenders to make the playoffs. I will say that. I don't think, with them currently being the sixth or last seed, whatever the seed is now, seventh, that they are actually how they were when they actually won their Super Bowl about 10 years ago or whatever it was, where they were the sixth seed and ran through everybody. They just something seems off to them, if you just watch their games this year. I can't really put my finger on it. I don't know if it's Rodgers just aging a little bit, all the youth. I know they don't have great weapons, so that's also a part of it. But I think they are going to probably sneak into the playoffs, but I don't foresee them making a lot of noise once they are in the playoffs. So I'll give that as my olive branch to my Packers fans out there. So I mean, I'm not a true hater. I mean, I've realized, I've always said that, Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life. That's never going to change. But just not impressed with the Packers overall. So, all right. So let's go into a couple injuries again for tonight's game. So Dallas, we got Tony Pollard out tonight, which is a huge loss for a lot of people. I did see a stat earlier that on 75% of ESPN leagues, Pollard is on one of the championship rosters, and 75% of the championship games they have on their site. So it shows you how big of a piece that was for a lot of people. Micah Parsons is still questionable. I'm not sure if that's actually been decided yet for tonight. And then Tolbert, Washington, other wide receivers on Dallas are still both out. Tannehill on Tennessee is still on IR, so he will not, even if they make the playoffs, I don't think that he's actually coming back. I don't think it's been 100% decided, but I don't think he's going to be able to actually come back. The biggest one here for Tennessee side is Derrick Henry is out with his hip. Seems like we talked about a little bit earlier in the show. Seems to be more of a resting situation because the real title, if you will, comes down next week against Jacksonville for the division for them. So this week's kind of meaningless. And then Dobbs is in for Malik Willis. So don't think anyone was really counting on Willis in their championship plays in fantasy and dynasty. So really the biggest ones here are Pollard and Derrick Henry. Those are pretty huge out. So Jay, what do you think about these injuries for tonight's game particularly?
Yeah, I think we touched on them. For the most part, the Tolbert Washington one, I threw those on there because those came out last minute where they're healthy scratches. Micah Parsons hand, he was questionable, but it came out that he was going to play. So looks like the only one that's going to be out is Pollard on the Dallas side. And then we knew about Tannehill being injured. They threw him on the IR today, so at minimum 4 weeks. We'll see what's going to happen there. I don't think he comes back this year, like you said. And then Derrick Henry, I'm 100% with you. This is a let's rest him. You're playing against a top 4, 5 rushing D in the league. No sense in getting him either banged up or re-injuring the hip, or just let him have another week and move on. And go to I believe that game is in Jacksonville, if I'm not mistaken, next week for the AFC South there.
All right, and Brian, I know we've already talked about these guys a little bit, but just final thoughts here on the two biggest guys, Henry and Pollard, being out tonight.
Well, my final thought on that is fantasy can and often is a cruel mistress because let's face it, especially Pollard's been an RB2 all season, and Henry has been an overall RB2, like second or third across the league. So it's a really hard time to be without those two guys in your lineup. But hopefully you've got alternate solutions. I kind of do. I had both of them in different leagues, so it kind of bites at the wrong time of the year. So
Right. And so when just a couple of injuries that could also in fact impact the championship weeks this week. So I'm just going to run through these. We'll go around and give our opinions on them. Greg Dulcich, hamstring is questionable. Dawson Knox, who's actually come on pretty strong here lately, is also questionable. Did not practice today with a hip injury. Christian Watson, hip, questionable. Tua, that's what we talked about. He's out with a concussion. Jalen Hurts, I saw he had a limited practice today. I don't know for sure if he's 100% out. I know he's probably doubtful, but I don't know if he's actually been ruled out or not. But still, you're probably not going to have Hurts this week. Damian Harris did not practice today, which you probably haven't. You're probably not in the playoffs if you have Damian Harris on your lineup. Lamar Jackson again. I know they originally thought he was going to be back before Christmas Eve. Still not practicing. So that's a pretty big blow if you've actually made it to the finals there. And then the biggest other fantasy name here, probably Alvin Kamara, did not practice yesterday or today. So some pretty big names there, especially going into the championship week. So you're gonna have to pivot some areas. At least hopefully if you have Dulcich or Knox or someone like that, you probably have another tight end of similar ilk that you can pivot to. But the quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, Hurts, Alvin Kamara, who hasn't been great but still is pretty serviceable running back. Probably Hurts pretty good, if you're going into the finals. So hopefully you guys have some pretty deep benches, have some stuff going on there. So just want to put that out there and make sure everyone's aware of that. If any of you guys have anything to say about any of these other injuries, go ahead and feel free to take the floor.
The main thing I want to take out of it is Lamar Jackson, Ravens team plays Sunday night. So a lot of these other players, you'll know when the lineup's locked. At least with both Henry and Pollard tonight, you knew that going into the game. You know that an hour and a half before the game, so you don't have to worry about that. But even if he practices, Jackson practices say tomorrow, and he's still iffy, you really can't play him unless you got another guy Sunday night, which would be the Steelers are playing, and or Monday night. So it really ties your hands.
Yeah, there's two of them that stand out to me. The Damian Harris stands out because if he is ruled out, then that's going to be Ramondre Stevenson all by himself. Then the Dawson Knox one, he's been coming on pretty strong here in the past few weeks. So hopefully that doesn't screw up your championship run. I did throw on this list. I did throw J.C. Horn on there for the cornerback for Carolina, and the only reason I did is because going back to the original question that Gerson had, he's not going to be there against Tampa, which will open up that back end for a Mike Evans. So that's going to be interesting to see if Horn, what Tampa can do without Carolina having their best cornerback.
All right, fellas. So that brings us into our ad read of Underdog Fantasy. Promo code GF2 gets you a 100% deposit match up to $100. So you put $100 in, use the code GF2, and you're going to be getting an additional $100. So make sure to hop on top of that if you already haven't. I know all of us are playing in it. We actually have some pretty exciting things going on with Underdog Fantasy coming up. So hopefully we'll be able to share a lot of that information with you here pretty soon. But yeah, they're a great company. Go make some bets there, win some money, and get some free $100 bets there if you use the GF2 code. So,
yeah, real quick on that.
Yeah.
On that going for two right now, Jeff Lambert. If you are part of Underdog, or even if you're if you're wanting to get on there, go over to Jeff Lambert's Twitter page. He right now is setting up a few of the 6-man drafts for the playoffs. And right now we're sitting there. It's Jeff and I are in one when we're waiting on 4 other players. So if you guys are interested in doing any best ball stuff, especially for the playoffs, right now we're sitting with one that's it's a $3 buy-in. So yeah, go over there to Jeff Lambert on Twitter and click on the link and it'll send you right into our league for the six-man playoff team, or 6-man playoff team for the best ball.
And it gives you an opportunity to play against a couple of ringers. That's always
Hey,
good.
hey, stop. Jeff is the ringer.
And speaking of that, says Kyle Center's got a question here. Says, so I'm in 3 finals. The only player I have going on those 3 teams tonight is the DeMarcus Lawrence Cowboys defense in the salary contract league. So I'm assuming he wants our opinion here on the DeMarcus Lawrence Cowboys defense. I don't know if you could do much better against going against the Titans with a 3rd-string quarterback right now.
Right.
I'm sure he's not asking to sit him. I think he almost is bragging in this.
Third-string quarterback and 2nd-string running back, and you're in the finals. Yeah, I kind of like that. That's nice.
Yeah,
I think I'd sit him.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, especially if you can go get like a Seattle or a Cleveland or something like that, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. All right, so transitioning into stock up, stock down. Brian, since you weren't here last week to give us your stock up, stock down, I'm going to let you have the honors of kicking it off this week. So who is your stock up for the week?
My stock up for the week is our rookie running back from the Atlanta Falcons. It's I've really been excited the way he's been playing the last 3 weeks. He's had 45 carries for 245 yards, it seems, and he's even filling in in the receiving department too, with 5 catches for 40 yards. And the last 2 weeks, he's averaged 23.5 fantasy points per game. So I'm pretty excited about his future.
Yeah, he's really come on strong. I think they've really phased out anyone else. I mean, I know, what was his name? Was it Huntley, right? Huntley was the other one there besides Patterson.
Yeah,
Caleb Huntley got hurt, and I think he's actually on IR. So then kind of coincides with that where, his usage picked up, but they've also kind of been reeling back Patterson a little bit as well. So, yeah, definitely like that. We actually talked about him a little bit last week, me and Jason did, about, potentially if you did have him, trading him to a contender, maybe being able to get a potential first-round pick out of him. So I think that's still definitely doable this week with a pretty favorable matchup. But let's kick it over to Jay. What is your stock up for the week?
Well, just this guy, I'm going straight, because it's a championship. So I'm going straight up. I'm going for the win. I'm wanting the touchdowns, and it's going to be Jahan Dotson. The last 3 games, 50-plus yards.
You won't be here till 9.
Per 50-plus yards per game, 6+ targets per game. He's got a touchdown, and now he's got Carson Wentz coming back. And in the very beginning of the year, he played 4 games at the beginning of the year. Before he got injured. In that time frame, he went for 4 more touchdowns with Carson Wentz. So give me all the touchdown upside that you can get with Carson Wentz. I know, Curtis Samuel's going to be the main focus for Wentz, but I went back and looked, and Dotson was right there with him, was hanging right there with him, especially with the touchdown. So
yeah,
Dotson is just there's too much upside for Dotson for him not to be on the stock up this week for me.
I'll completely agree with that. All right, so I actually have 2 potentially. I wrote one, and then I decided to write another one. So first one I'm going to say here is Cam Akers. I know we all have our thoughts and opinions about the guy, but it really seems like he's maybe possibly turned the corner the last couple of weeks. So both the last 2 weeks, he's played at least 75% of the snaps, which is a season high for him, going all the way back to week 1, 2, 3. Week 15, so 2 weeks ago, he had 65 rush yards on 12 carries, which was a really nice 5.42 yards per carry, and had an additional 3 catches for 35 yards. So he followed it up with a monster performance, which I don't know how he wasn't the Nickelodeon MVP with this performance, but he had 23 carries for 118 yards, which again, nice over 5 yards per carry, 3 total touchdowns, and 2 catches for 29 yards. So he's going up against the Chargers this week. If you have him in your championships, I think you can trust him going in. Seems like they've kind of really given him the ball. I know they cut Henderson a ways back. They also had hopes for their rookie running back that they drafted, but that doesn't really seem to be paying out. So I really do think it is truly Cam Akers' show. So he is my stock up for the week. And then as a bonus, I will say this one. If Hurts does continue to sit, my original stock up that I had written down was Gardner Minshew. Just because, for sitting out all season, he comes in and looks really solid. I think we all know that he's a very capable quarterback. But going up against a really tough Cowboys defense last week, he more than held his own. Finished as a QB5 in fantasy last week. So 355 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. So he did have 2 picks, but still, to come in just, right off the bench, hasn't played a snap all season and finishing as a QB5, with a lot of these QB situations kind of not panning out, let's say you actually, had Derek Carr or someone like that that's actually not going to be playing now for you this week. If he's out there, I think he's a really good one to start, and he's actually my stock up, maybe even looking to secure a job for next season for him as a starter.
Yeah, I picked him up in a couple of leagues, won both, so great opportunity there.
Definitely. So, all right. So then I'm going to kick it back. I did struggle a little bit with this one for the stock down, but I'm going to go Zonovan Knight. He was kind of a lot of people's saviors there in mid-season, after a lot of the injuries there with the Jets, had some pretty good games. But it's been a pretty brutal run of games for him the last couple of weeks. He hasn't finished above running back 61 in the last 2 weeks. He has a decent matchup against Jacksonville's defense this week, but I don't see how anyone can start him with confidence in the championship round unless you're truly desperate, coming off of 6 attempts for -2 yards last week and 1 catch for 15 yards. So actually, I misspoke. He's going up against Seattle this week. Had a good matchup against Jacksonville, which is where he had 6 for -2. So it's championship week. I want to be risk adverse. If you are starting him, thank him for getting you all the way to where he got you and helped you out, but I don't think you can ride with him this week. So, all right, I'll kick that back down to Brian. Who is your down for the week?
Unlike Tyler Algier, where the needle's pointing up, I went with a player, not really the player himself, maybe the coach, maybe the organization, maybe the whole thing is just an awful situation. Devontae Adams. He has been screwed by that organization. I'd forgotten what Jason was talking about, how he signed with the Raiders because of Derek Carr. Now he gets benched, but he hadn't been produced in the last 3 weeks. He's had 9 catches for barely over 100 yards, I think 110 and 0 touchdowns. So he wasn't performing well. Now he loses his quarterback, and they've gone to Jared Stidham. I mean, come on, he wasn't even good in college. So it's excuse my proverbial French, but it's a shit show in Las Vegas right now. I'd rather go to the casino than watch them play.
Yeah.
All right, and Jay, you're down for the week.
I'm going Deion Jackson, and see if anybody will remember this saying, but Bueller, because he straight ghosted the Colts last week. Up until garbage time. I mean, 0 carries, 3 for 3. And again, it was garbage time. It was like 4 minutes left in the game when he finally got on the field. I did ask last night to a very good friend and Colts fan about this whole Deion Jackson, Jeff Saturday fight. And he said it fake news, 100% fake news. But he still wasn't on the field, and it's cost some people. At least in fantasy, it's cost people. So, but now he's facing the Giants, who truly have something to play for. And it just feels like, going, this game is going to be very, very, very similar for the Colts side of the ball. Very similar to what it was last week. You have nothing to play for. Who cares? We're checking out. The season's over in 2 weeks for them. Blah, 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 whatever. Figure it out. Let the front office figure it out in 2 weeks. So Deion Jackson just way down for me for that performance or non-performance.
What I don't remember is who they played the week before last, but seems like he had a fumble late in that game. I don't remember if it was a competitive game or not, but he seemed like he got in trouble for that.
Yeah, that was against I'm trying to think now because it was oh shoot. I'm looking it up right now. So give me just a second. It was against Minnesota. Yeah, it was against
Okay,
Minnesota.
that's right.
Yeah, it's Minnesota.
They were
that
actually
crazy game.
Yeah, that was the Minnesota game where all of a sudden, he fumbled and then he didn't see the field again.
The only reason I was having a hard time is over about the last 6 weeks. That was the only game that been competitive in.
Yeah,
and I was at somebody's house eating dinner, so I missed that game. So
yeah, the problem with the way they performed as a team last week, for me anyway, was it was a relatively close game. It wasn't like it was getting blown out. It wasn't 33-0. It was 17 to, or 13-3, 13-7, whatever it was. And so they were, and then they should have kicked a freaking field goal instead of going for it on fourth down. That would have put them to they still one score to try to get a touchdown. But you build momentum going into the halftime, and instead, no, we're going to not going to score because we don't like scoring in the second half of football games over the last 2 weeks. We're going to also sit Deion Jackson and put everything on Nick Foles, who doesn't even want to be a starting quarterback. He wants to be a backup.
That whole team acted like they didn't want to be there at all.
No.
The entire game.
Oh yeah, not at all.
No, they'd rather go back outside and play in the snow.
It was almost as if they'd rather just be in a funeral home as compared to football field. I mean, they were the walking zombies.
Lucas Oil Stadium, aka the funeral home.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
exactly. It was just the walking zombies last week for that game.
Bad.
All right, so that takes us into who do we think is going to win tonight and their scores. So, Jason, why don't you go ahead and give us your prediction for tonight?
Yeah, so I'm going to back up for a real quick second. Going back up to the over under was at 40 for tonight, and I'm going to hammer the under. The spread is at 14, where it started out at 10.5, but yeah, it's at 14 now. I think that's too big. So I would, if I was running that line, I would be taking the under on the over under, and I'd be taking Tennessee getting 14. So my score tonight is 24-10 Dallas. I truly think that this game is going to be a Zeke game. And you'll see that later when we get into the parlays. I've got some questions in there because I wanted to talk about those as well if we can. But I truly think this is going to be a Zeke game. You're going to see you'll see Dallas go up 14-0, and then it'll be just run after run after run after run. And then it's just going to be that boring Thursday night, primetime football game.
All right, and Brian, what is your prediction for tonight's game?
I went very similar. I believe I went 27-10.
Yes.
So I would go with the Cowboys minus the 14. And definitely the under. If those two teams score over 40 points, color me surprised. That's for sure.
If they go over 40, it's going to be all Dallas, 40-0.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I may be a little generous on giving 10 points to the Titans with their team, but
all that's going to take is for Diggs to guess wrong on one pass.
Yeah,
right.
Or Dak to throw another pick six.
There is that.
So tonight I actually have Dallas winning 35-9. So I'm over the 40. I don't even think with that lineup, Tennessee against that defense, unless it gets real late in the game, there's just some garbage time stuff, is going to get any touchdowns. So I'm just going with kicking some field goals. Or I guess you could say a touchdown and a safety. But I originally put this as 3 field goals. Gave them a little bit of hope there, but yeah, 35-9 for me. We're all on Dallas' side. This game honestly doesn't even feel like it's worth watching. I think Thursday Night Football again has gotten the hose with some of their, it would have been a decent matchup. Actually, with the players that are actually involved, actually ends up not being that great of a game. But with that being said, we're going to kick it into the Chrome Dome parlays of the night. This is Brian and Jason's segment here. I don't really contribute too much to this, so I'm going to hand it over to the professionals and let them have at it. So, Brian, why don't you go ahead and start with some of your parlays for tonight?
I tell you what, if you don't mind, I'm going to pass to my main man, Jason.
Oh, there we go. All right.
So, I'm taking Zeke Elliott What I did tonight was just strictly on underdog. So I went to Zeke Elliott over a half a touchdown. So Brian, I screwed up because I thought I hit submit and I did not. So when I wanted to hit submit, Malik Davis was at 31.5 rushing. I still went ahead and took the over on 38.5. But an hour ago it was at 31.5. So that tells you once the news of Pollard came out, they jumped that line way up.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was because I guess it wasn't official till about an hour ago. Chigogwanku, Okwanku, I think is how you say it. I don't mean to destroy his name if I didn't say it right. Over 2 receptions. So basically need 3. And then CeeDee Lamb, I just need 6 receptions out of him. It's 5.5 receptions. I think that can happen in the first half, and then they'll probably just rest from there. I do have a couple questions for you, though. Question number 1 is on Dak. I really looked at his half interception and then his 20.5 completions. I was really nervous on those. I think those numbers are really, or at least the completion number is going to be really close. And then Josh Dobbs over half a passing touchdown. And then the 23.5 rushing yards was interesting number for me. The other one that I really wanted to see about, and I didn't touch him just because I don't know what to expect. I've said this to multiple people. I don't know what they expect out of Tennessee tonight, and I damn sure don't know what they expect out of Haskins. But they've got his line set at 51.5 rushing, and then at 10.5 receiving. And both of those I think are really, really obtainable, but I think they're really, really close too.
Yeah. For me, Haskins is over on rushing yards. I mean, they're going to have to get 100 yards of offense from somewhere, maybe. And why not him get half of it? And then on Dobbs, he may get a rushing touchdown. I don't know. But I don't think he'll pass to anybody that.
Unless it's Haskins.
You were a Florida fan, so you had to watch him in college.
I didn't watch Tennessee.
Oh, of course you did.
That's when we were good. Remember, that's when Florida was good.
Okay, maybe that's. But every year you had to play him, so you at least watched him 4 times, right?
Yeah, but that was I mean, he's been in the league for 5 years, so that was 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago, roughly.
Yeah. Well, he was okay in college, but he wasn't great. So I'm going to say, and he played for my Steelers for a little bit of time too. So
that's right.
I'm going to say if I had to go, I'd go under the passing touchdown. I'd probably leave it alone, but if I had to go under or the other, I'd go under. I don't have a lot of confidence in that, man.
I just left. The ones that I asked the question on, there was ones I just left alone. I just went. So I went. Like I said, Elliott over a touchdown or over half a touchdown. Malik was 38.5. Chig, I went over 2. CeeDee Lamb over 5.5. And then the other one that I went ahead and put on the card just to fill the card out. I'm pretty comfortable with it. I think was Michael Gallup over 3 receptions. So that was my card I built tonight. So just a little small, little 5 for 100 kind of thing, and not a big deal if I lose it. But I think I'm pretty comfortable with those numbers there.
Yeah, I like your chances. My favorite one out of the one you've got, and I would have it as well. Can't remember his last name, but the Cowboys backup running back Malik
Davis. By the way, speaking of a Florida Gator.
Oh, he was okay.
Yes, he was.
I don't remember him, to be honest with you.
He was the starter / backup for Dameon Pierce.
Okay, well, I think he'll go over. And when you said earlier that you think it's a Zeke game, I think it's going to be a Malik Davis game. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm going to go. My Chrome Dome pick of the game will be the fact that Malik Davis will actually outrush Zeke.
Ooh,
getting a little spicy. He doesn't have to, so I'll take the 38.5.
Man, you need to go buy some hot sauce for that little spiciness. Good Lord!
I'm telling you, if they get out early, which they very well could, the second half will belong to him.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can see that.
My next one is CeeDee Lamb anytime touchdown. It was plus 110, I think. I like that one. I've got Dak over the passing yards at 2 227, I think, or something like that.
227.5.
So I like that. And the last one I liked is I went ahead and went Haskins over 51.5 or whatever it was. I mean, like I said, Tennessee doesn't have to get a lot of offense, but the same, they'll get held at 150 yards, maybe a stretch. So for him to be the only running back in the show, he'll be fine. So
okay. So I just want to give you a quick update on your numbers, because I know we do these, anywhere from an hour to 2 hours ahead of the show.
Yep.
And we get some information, kind of like the Pollard stuff that just come out, about an hour and a half ago. When you put it on there at 227.5 for Dak passing yards, his passing yards has moved to 236.5.
Oof.
Yeah. The Dalton Schultz, you had 39.5. You had gone under on 39.5. Schultz number right now is still at 39.5. So that number didn't change. Malik Davis did from 31.5 up to 38.5. And then the Haskins I thought was at 51. Let me just double check. 51.5 rushing, where you had it at 50.5. And of course, the CeeDee Lamb, I think it's at 100 now. So
the only one I would back off of, and I just wouldn't play it at all, would be Dax. I don't like 236.5 for him.
Yeah, I don't either. I just don't.
227.
I don't see it being a passing game. I mean, I just don't.
I don't think it can be unless Tennessee scores some kind of weird touchdown early in the game, either kick return or defense or whatever, to keep it close for a half.
Yeah,
otherwise I can't see it.
Yeah, I think Tennessee's going to have to score. Lack of a better way of saying it, it's going to have to be a Dak pick six, and then turn around and have a punt return if they can stop them, or a kickoff return, which I don't see either one of those happening either. But hell, I mean, who knows? So that would be the only way I would see that the Cowboys would have to, or feel like they would have to pass. Because even then, I don't think they would have to. But
they'll never feel threatened.
Well, and you know what? I thought the same thing, but I went back and looked, and Dak, for instance, I did not realize how much Dak throws, and this is why I looked at the completions of 20.5, because if you look back over the last 5-6 weeks or whatever it is, he's thrown upwards of like 30, but then he's had these weeks of 39 and 42, and those when he gets to that number, that 30. The percentages of the completions drastically start dropping,
Wow.
So he needs to be in that 24, 25, 26 range. And that's where I was like, okay, can he throw 26 times and complete 20 of them?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Exactly.
I mean, he probably can, but it's probably not going to happen.
If I was doing anything with Dak, it would be over 1.5 passing touchdowns, to be honest.
Okay.
I do have so I'm looking here on Twitter, and a minute ago, Pro Football Talk just posted that the Cowboys may pull starters at halftime, depending on how the first half goes. So, another little wrinkle into all that.
Yeah,
that's why I think Malik Davis. Nobody's heard of him, and I may have even just screwed up his name, but
nope, that's exactly how you say it, Malik Davis.
So I think he's the second half MVP.
Well, and this is exactly why I said I need, if I played this card, I'm gonna need CeeDee Lamb, and I'm going to need Gallup to go out there and go ahead and get their 4 receptions for Gallup, 6 for CeeDee. Then they can get pulled. I could care less. I know Zeke's gonna get in the end zone. They're not gonna not let him get in the end zone. Yeah, he's done it for what 4 straight games. He's got in the end zone. Oh, I'm sorry, I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8 games, 8 straight games he's got in the end zone, rushing the ball. So go ahead, give me that over on the half. That's a smash for me.
I agree. I think yardage wise at 67.5 or whatever it is, he may go under.
Yeah, I wouldn't play the over on that at all.
We got Kyle chiming back in here. Says I'm playing against Zeke in one final and Lamb in another, so I'm hoping they bench both. So you might get your wish tonight, Kyle.
Kyle, I am not wishing for a ton of points out of either one of them. I need 6, and all 6 can be receptions. I don't care if they're for a yard apiece. 6 receptions from CD, and then Zeke. All I need from Zeke is a 1-yard touchdown. I'd be fine with that. I'm about the dollars.
My prediction is they'll both be under 12 PPR fantasy points for the game.
All right. Well, real quick, I just want to see your opinion on this right now. Right now, knowing the information we know, they have CD Lamb 72.5 receiving yards. I would hammer the under.
Yeah.
But I'm not playing it.
Yeah, I think 5 for 60 is about where he's at. You needed 5, right?
6
for 60. There you go.
All right. Well, with that being said, guys, we're going to get out of here and get over and watch this game, see what happens fantasy-wise, win these championships. So I will kick it down to Brian. Let people know where to find you, what's going on.
Well, first of all, you can find me at Vandegrad92 on Twitter. I will be there for my final Sunday live show for frequency's sake. And I'm going to be honest. I'm an honest person. They call me Honest Abe. I am not going over to watch the football game. I'm going to watch some post-Christmas movie or something. So,
all righty. And Jay, where can people find you? What's going on with you, sir?
You can find me. I'm sorry, I got the Oklahoma Florida State game in the background there, so I was kind of paying attention to that too. You can find me over on Twitter at FantasyJ77. You can find me in the Discord there at Going for Two. It's free, so come join us over there. Drop us at me, DM me, whatever. My DMs are open. You can at me. I'll be there to answer whatever you want to ask me, yell at me about. That's fine. I'm good with all of those. You can find me here on Thursday nights. You can find me on Wednesday nights with Fantasy Intervention. And I think that's about it. I think we're going to do something special next week for the folks, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to do our season wrap-up episode next week. Just going over, who were the best performers, who outperformed their draft position, stuff like that. So, be a mix of Dynasty and Fantasy as it usually is. But we're just going to review the season, maybe have a guest or two on with us. So it'll be a good time. Make sure to check that out. And before I say my goodbyes here, so Kyle said, great episode as always, Devin, Brian, and Gator. Appreciate that, Kyle. Thanks for sticking around the whole time and checking out the episode and asking questions and contributing. We appreciate that. You can find me at Devin Deal on Twitter. Like I said, hit me up. I know some people have been hitting me up with messages the last couple of weeks going into playoffs and everything, so I will do my best to assist in any way that I can. So like I said earlier, let's all go out here and win these championships, win this money. So good luck to everybody this week. And for all of us here at the Dynasty Gambit, we will see you next week on the wrap-up show. See you then.